Hey, Taylor Schabusiness's trial was over when the jury said, you're guilty of everything. But it wasn't over because then the jury had to come back to phase two yesterday and determine whether, even though she was guilty factually, is she not guilty by reason of her insanity? From a logical perspective, when you know that this woman beheaded her lover and then dismembered him and then played with the parts and did all the things, you're going to come to a crude conclusion that she's insane. She is crazy. But legally, does that mean that she should spend the rest of her life in a mental institution where she gets, nice meals and pills and therapists are always coming in and trying to rehabilitate her and get her back to normal? Or does she spend her life in prison? That is the question that was presented to the jury yesterday in phase two. The judge even told the jury, if you find she is not guilty by reason of sanity, I can let her go. Not really, but he could under the law. Or I can send her to a mental health institution instead of sending her to prison. This issue was presented yesterday by the defense. It is now Taylor's attorney's burden to present experts, which they did, that said this woman has a mental defect. Now, a lot of people have mental defects, but the mental defect has to rise to a level where Taylor did not know the difference between right and wrong and really couldn't control her actions as a result of this mental defect. So you think of like lions in the jungle and you're on safari and then you see that gruesome thing where look at that beautiful Bambi over there, and then the lion just goes whoop, the mane's all bloody, they're eaten. I mean, we don't really punish the lion for doing what lions do. Animals do what animals do. But humans, supposedly, I think, know the difference between right and wrong. But if you have such a mental defect that you are an animal like that lion that literally cannot control yourself and has to go pounce, well, then our court system can make an exception for you and say, we're not going to send you to prison for this. You couldn't help yourself. We're going to send you to a mental hospital, right? What they had to determine was done through experts. Taylor's attorney presented two psychologists that testified. They heard all sorts of stuff. I mean, Taylor has had mental issues from God knows when. She's been involuntarily committed for 6 months to treatment, for 21 days for treatment. She had a judge order her to take medication. I mean, imagine the government coming down at you and shoving pills down your throat. But that doesn't get you not guilty by reason of insanity, because to get all the way to an NGI, you have got to really not know the difference between right and wrong. Bottom line. This is a tough line to draw. It's a blurry line. We always say, is she just downright evil or is she crazy? Because if she's crazy, she kind of doesn't know the difference between right and wrong, and she can't control herself. Taylor Schabusiness, according to the defense, cannot make that determination, number one, because of a mental defect or disease. She cannot distinguish between right and wrong. And second, she can't control her actions as a result of that mental defect. The jury struck all this down, said, hell no. First of all, she apologized to the sister, right? Now, that might not seem like a big deal. First of all, I don't know how I don't know how this works. I beheaded your brother and I did all these things to your brother and I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be forgiven only to the extent I can forgive somebody else. And that sort of, what happened here is going to knock me out of the game. There is no forgiveness. I don't, Anyway, the point is, because she apologized to the sister for beheading and all the things she did, she appreciated some right and wrong. She also chopped up the body so that maybe she wouldn't get caught. Again, there's some appreciation there of the consequences of her actions. The jury just wasn't buying the not guilty by reason of sanity. She is going to do life in prison. This case is sort of over, except that you're going to see this case in every Dateline 48 Hours Netflix series. And you're going to see this case. I mean, what stand-up comedian is not going to soak in all the things that happen on this case?